Hey guys, my name is Wes from motionrc.com, and today I want to tell you about this aircraft right behind me. This is the Nexa Aichi, and I want to tell you right now why I was so excited to do this model with my father, and let me show you just what I'm talking about. So this aircraft right behind me is actually a special one to me. This was me and my father's Japanese Zero back in like 2005. I've never let go of it. No, I don't fly it anymore, but I still have fun keeping it here. But what I thought of when I saw the Aichi hit the website, I was like, man, that looks very similar to that old airplane we had as far as the size and the shape of it. And I knew how good this airplane flew. So when I had the chance and Chris was like, do you want one of these to put together and do media on? I was like, you betcha. So guys, today I'm gonna show you all about this aircraft. I've been flying it for about the last week. We got it all finished. It was a lot of fun. My dad built this thing in the background, and today we're gonna show you all around it. Well, all right, guys, this is the Nexa Aichi, also known as the Val. And from here on out, I'm gonna call this a Val, because that's what most guys actually call these. Now, this aircraft comes out of the box completely covered, as you see here, but you do need to install your own electronics. Now, there's really nothing to installing it on these aircraft, so don't let that set you back. If you're just a little bit mechanically inclined, I promise you can put one of these together and have a great time with it. Something you will need to have in order to actually put this together is some CA glue. I like thin and medium. You'll need you some 5-minute to 30-minute epoxy. If you can only pick one, I definitely recommend the 30-minute. It's gonna make it a lot easier to do the working times. 5 minutes is, you better get it right the first time. So that's why I always recommend that. And you're gonna need some basic nut drivers, screwdrivers, and all of these components are available here at motionrc.com. We're trying to be your one-stop shop for your model aviation, and we have everything now for chargers, batteries, radios, everything you need to complete these aircraft, we have it now. Now, if you're interested in actually how to put together wood aircraft, we've done that in the past. What these reviews are gonna be about is more of the finished product and how to set it up to get it to actually fly right. As far as putting your control rods and linkages on, like I said, we've covered it many, many times here at Motion RC. Feel free to look up any of our plethora of videos on that. So to power the Val, I used the Admiral GP 7.5 motor. These are available here at Motion RC, and they're very easy to get bolted on the front. It's gonna come with this hardware, and what you end up doing is putting a bolt on from the back, slide the motor on, and then bolt it from the front, and this lets you adjust it in and out to make sure your cowling is the right distance away from the propeller. Speaking of the propeller, this is the Admiral 1310 electric wood propeller from our Admiral line of props. It will fit the shaft of the GP motor, but you will need to actually hollow out just a little ring around the outside to slip over the actual hub when you put this on there. Other than that, it's just a standard prop nut from the front to bolt this on, and it really looks pretty clean. Moving back on the model, we're gonna come to the canopy, and the first thing you'll notice is the pilot figure in this aircraft is actually an excellent mold for this model. You also get a very nice looking interior in this aircraft. I like that they finished it in this olive drab with the sticker on the dashboard to give it just a little bit more realism. And then of course that gun sight up there on the front. Now on the back after the aircraft, you're gonna see that it does have the machine gunner area in the back. Now when you're putting this together, you can choose to cut this and have it in the open position also. That's gonna be for the modeler to choose though, at the time they're putting their aircraft together. I also like on the Nexa aircraft's cockpits, most of the time now they are screwed on. So if you need to get inside of there and dress it up a little bit more right when you get it, add you some switches, some knobs, that kind of stuff. It's really simple to do it on these aircraft. You just take out these 8 screws on this aircraft and you can do it. Now, if you look towards the back of the canopy, there are 2 screws back here. You're gonna use these to actually unscrew it so it can't fly off the aircraft. And then you can lift it off, showing the inside of the aircraft. Inside, most of the Nexa aircraft use these block systems to get your control rods from the front to the back. I've been using them in several of them now, and I really actually like these blocks. So speaking of those push rods, we also need to talk about the servos that are installed in this aircraft. These are the X-Wave 30MG servos. And I've really found these to be excellent servos. We've used them in several of these balsa products lately, and I've not had a single one have an issue. So I really do like them. Now in front of the servos is actually the battery compartment. You're gonna see you can fit a 3600 milliamp LiPo in here, no problem. If you wanted to run a 4000 milliamp in here, you could get that in here. Anything much bigger than that though, you're gonna struggle with. I will say the nose weight will not be a problem. I actually ended up having to glue in 3 ounces of lead weight up in the nose to run the 3600 comfortably on this aircraft. And finally, from the battery compartment, the last thing we need to talk about is our ESC. I ran our Admiral 80 amp ESC inside the aircraft to power everything. I will tell you, if you use this ESC, you will need to solder on the other ends to match the motor or use adapters. And I did also lengthen the power cable wires that go to the battery from the ESC. They were a little short for my taste, and so all I did was just go on and solder on a new XT60 with a bit of length of wire to make it a little bit longer. Now coming down from the cockpit details, let's actually talk about the undercarriage of this aircraft, which is actually one of its strong points in my opinion. This has just standard old wire-sprung landing gear. Now they have fairings around them to make them look prettier, but the cool thing about these is when you have a bad landing, normally they just bend a little bit and you reach in there and tweak them back to straight and keep flying. Versus if you have a bad landing gear with retracts, it's usually the end of the day of flying. So it's kind of nice to have these, especially for our guys that fly off of grass. There is no better landing gear. We ran these things for years than these right here for grass strips. They just kind of wiggle around and absorb the bumps and just keep on a-kicking. So I used them on here. These are just as they come out of the kit and they worked beautifully. Now, since we're underneath the aircraft, let's now talk about the servos that are driving all our control surfaces on the bottom of the wings. So for the ailerons, we actually used the MD3A1 It's actually a free wing servo, but I've used it in a bunch of these Nexa models lately, and we trust them in our jets, so why not in these? So I've been using these in a bunch of stuff lately and loving them. Now for my flap servos, it's got the WWII 6005-006. I wish it had a fun, exciting name, but it doesn't. X-Wave servo. Now, these little guys have also been really good for me lately, and I've been really enjoying them. So if y'all want to try them too, you can. Now, the weird thing about this aircraft that makes it a little bit more challenging than others is it has 4 flap segments that are all individually ran by servos. So how do you actually wire all that stuff together to get one servo port and have them all go the right direction? I'll tell you the secret. Go on and install all your servos in the wing the same direction. Then take the horn for the servo, put them on. But don't hook up the actual control rod and push rod or put the actual horn into the surface until you get power to the model. So in my case, what I like to do is set the wing out and put 2 Y harnesses into 1 Y harness, and that gives you 4 ports into 1. Plug all of your servos in, and then plug it into a servo checker and run it. And then you can physically look, and the flaps have 2 holes provided in it, whether you needed to put your arm on the right or the left-hand side to get them to extend. After you figure out which way each one of them needs to go, then it's as simple as gluing in that horn to the flap in the correct hole and lifting up your linkages. So when you do that part, trust me, I know a lot of people that struggle with that. I hope that helps clear it up a little bit. Moving back yet again, there are a few stickers you have to apply in the center section of the tail. It's gonna have the 2 red stripes and then your actual tail numbers. The red meatball will be pre-printed, and so will all of the rivet detail on it. Now, right here, you can see where a mistake was made during the assembly process, and to cover it up, it comes with some patch material. So we just cut out that little bit of patch material that's the same color as the aircraft, and we're able to patch it. So if you get a hole in yours or need a little small piece of patch, just know every Nexa aircraft comes with a little sheet of replacement film. The tail itself, the last part of the aircraft, there is one more sticker here. This is your tail number, of course, that you'll need to apply yourself. Just a stick-on sticker, really easy. And you can see all the control rods and linkages back here also as they come in the kit if you choose to use them. This model does also have a steerable tail wheel. It is a wire-sprung tail wheel, so gonna absorb the bumps just fine and be a great little flyer. All right, before we move to rates and expo setup for this aircraft, let's do a quick recap on the actual electronics needed to finish this airplane. For the propeller, you're gonna need a 13x10 electric propeller. For your motor, we got the Admiral GP 7.5. For your ESC, you're gonna need an 80 amp ESC. For the battery, I recommend anywhere from a 35 to a 4,000 milliamp 4S battery. For the servos, you really just need to check motionrc.com when you're ordering this because we have several different options available when you buy. And for your radio and receiver, we have several different options available here. I used the TX15 Max because it's awesome and it lights up. Yeah. But also because it's just been a really good radio and they're inexpensive. Everybody at the field is flying them now and I've been really enjoying them. And for the receiver, I use the ER8. I just use those in everything now. It's not much more of a difference in price to get the 8 channels unless you need to save the space. I just rock the 8s in everything now. All right, so at this point, let's go over the actual rates and expo callouts that I used to get the successful flight you saw. For my aileron high rate, I have 23 millimeters of deflection travel upwards. For my mid-rate ailerons, I have 17 millimeters of up deflection. And those are the only 2 cuts I use. For my full flap deflection, I have 25 millimeters of down deflection. And for my takeoff flap, I have it at 10 millimeters of down deflection. It's also important to note that I did not use a flap to elevator mix on this aircraft. I actually didn't feel the need for any down deflection, surprisingly. For my elevator high rate, I had just at 20 millimeters of travel. This was pretty sensitive though. For my low rates, I have 10 millimeters of travel. Now for the rudder, I actually leave it at 100% throw, but I will tell you, it gets a little touchy on the ground. So what I did is put 40% expo in with that rudder. Now, we've gone over all the throws that I used, but remember, in your manual, in the CG section towards the end, it also gives you your control surface throws in here. If you go off the manual, it's gonna be perfect. I'm just telling you what I personally used on my aircraft for this. But these rates are good also. Now for the CG on this aircraft, the recommended CG range is 97 to 102 millimeters from the leading edge. Now I did fly mine about 5 millimeters behind that, but it will be even more comfortable if you'll get it to that recommended CG range. I'm a pretty proficient pilot, so I don't mind a little touch tail heavy to an aircraft. It's more of a neutral CG to me. But most guys are gonna wanna start at that 102 millimeters. Now, before we go for the day, I have to talk about the big elephant in the room. How does this aircraft actually fly? And for anybody that's a fan of Japanese World War II aircraft, if you've had a Zero and you really liked it, but you want something to fly off a little rougher field, or you're a little smaller on the space side, some of these planes are getting gigantic lately. This one's right in there of like the perfect size we used to fly back in the early 2000s. And you know, if you wanted to put a nitro engine on this and really complete the experience of flying in 2005, you could still do that. It comes with the fuel tank, it comes with the motor mounts, everything you want. But as I've gotten older in life, I really like electric. It's just easy, it's clean. I can put them out in the shop and come back in 6 months and I can throw a battery in it and go fly it some more. So that's why I choose to do the electrics here lately on here. I lived through the nitro days. I'm excited about nowadays. And like I said, it's all the benefits of the flying back then. It feels just like it from the assembly and the smell of the wood and everything. There's something about it that I just always love. And it's fun to get it still today, even in these brand new aircraft. Well guys, I'm Wes from motionrc.com. It's my pleasure showing you around these aircraft every day. Still can't believe I do this. And until next time, whether it's air, land, or sea, you can get it right here at Motion RC. Wow! See y'all later, guys.